Discover the incredible moment a nurse's hidden struggle turned into a life-changing first date. The sun dipped low in the sky, bathing the small Midwestern town in a warm golden hue, casting long shadows of anticipation across the harvest festival. Sarah Martinez, a devoted nurse, stepped out of the hospital, her scrubs still wrinkled from another long shift. Every breath felt heavy with the weight of her family's expectations. At 32, she had labored tirelessly, caring for patients day in and day out, yet remained virtually invisible to everyone around her. Tonight, she was just a tired nurse, no dreams, no hope. The chatter of laughter and the scent of roasted corn lingered in the air, igniting a long-buried spark within her. As Sarah wandered through the crowd, she felt a hint of something electric brush against her skin. It was Mike, a local war veteran, recently returned home. His smile dismantled the weight on her shoulders, if only for a moment. Their eyes locked, a magnetic pull drawing them closer amidst the joys of the festival. For Sarah, lost in her routine, the world faded around them. Mike's laughter was a refreshing balm against her exhausting shifts. Yet, beneath the surface of their connection lay unspoken fears, shadows of societal judgments tainting the night. Suddenly, old insecurities crept in. Sarah's heart raced as she thought, can I even be good enough for him? She fumbled with her hands, torn between feelings of excitement and her relentless self-doubt. Mike, too, felt the shadows of his past creeping up as he wondered, what does a bright nurse like her see in someone like me? Those thoughts danced among the colorful lights of the festival, melding with the swirling scents of hayrides and homemade pies. They shared their first date, weaving through groups of familiar faces while silent voices joined the host of doubts swirling around them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night unfolded in a whirlwind of small talk and downcast gazes. The unease became unbearable when a minor misunderstanding erupted. A stray comment lanced through the air, igniting insecurity like a wildfire. In that moment, raw honesty bubbled to the surface. Tears sparkled in Sarah's eyes as she shared her fears of failing her family, while Mike, voice trembling, revealed his struggles with feeling disconnected from the world after the war. They stood exposed, vulnerable, yet here lay their chance for something significant to blossom. Just as the night felt destined to collapse under the weight of misunderstanding, the townspeople rallied together, transforming the tension into something heartwarming. From the corners of the festival emerged voices and laughter, reminders of a community that thrived on lifting one another up. Sarah and Mike exchanged a meaningful glance, a flicker of hope lighting up their faces as they realized that love and connection could conquer insecurities if they dared to let it. But the question hung in the air, thicker than the autumn night: could they embrace these insecurities together, or would they let the weight of expectation drive them apart? As laughter swirled around them, Sarah and Mike shared a breath, eyes locked with possibility, leaving the future a tantalizing mystery. Sarah inhaled deeply, gathering courage as the sounds of laughter and cheer from the festival mingled with the scent of caramel apples and hay. She glanced at Mike, whose earnest expression reminded her that perhaps this night held more promise than she dared to admit. Let us not let misunderstanding spoil this, she said, her voice steadying as she attempted a smile. Mike nodded, a warmth spreading through his chest. Absolutely. We've already shared too much. He cleared his throat, trying to shake off the heaviness that had threatened to suffocate their connection. What's your favorite thing about this festival? The light in Sarah's eyes flickered with life, her passion for her community blooming. The pie-eating contest, for sure. My dad used to enter every year. He would always come home with the biggest grin, even if he lost. A soft chuckle escaped Mike's lips, imagining her father's jovial spirit. I can't wait to see you in action, he teased. Maybe I'll challenge you to a contest next year. She felt the corners of her lips curl upward, laughter bubbling up from the depths of her being. Well, just wait until you see my competitive side. But I warn you, no mercy. Good to know. He replied with mock seriousness, the air between them finally lightening. The awkwardness that had enveloped them began to dissipate as they strolled through the festival, taking in the lush hues of autumn leaves and the joyous faces of children dancing. With every step, Sarah ventured deeper into the possibility of a shared future. They stopped in front of a small booth where a couple was offering hand-painted pumpkins for sale. Mike picked one up, its bright orange surface glistening in the festival lights. What do you think? Would you prefer a menacing jack-o'-lantern or something more cheerful? Sarah leaned closer, contemplating. I would say cheerful. Halloween is more fun with smiles, she suggested, her heart fluttering as they both pictured the pumpkin brightening a cozy corner of her living room. Then cheerful it is, Mike declared, handing over a few dollars to the vendor. As they continued their stroll, he made her promise they would carve the pumpkin together, his eyes sparkling with mischief. In a world of uncertainties, moments like these felt solid, forming foundations where doubt had once reigned, but even as part of her rejoiced, another part whispered unrest. Sarah felt the weight of her family's expectations settle heavily on her shoulders. Would they support her desire to carve out her own happiness? Could she truly embrace a love like what she felt for Mike? The thought made her pause, uncertainty seeping in. Sarah, you okay? Mike's voice drew her back to the present, concern etched on his face. Yeah, just thinking about tomorrow, she admitted, forcing a casual grin. Tomorrow is what you make it, he said softly, a hint of understanding in his tone. And right now, how about we tackle that Ferris wheel? Before she could respond, he grabbed her hand, the simple gesture resonating through her, a spark igniting hope within her chest. As they approached the towering wheel, Sarah could feel the warm glow of connection wrapping around them, but also the chilling doubt creeping back. With each step upward, the question loomed, would courage carry her over the edge, or would fear hold her back? As they reached the top and took in the breathtaking view, Sarah felt the world open up around her. Beneath the twinkling stars, hope swirled like leaves caught in the autumn breeze. What lay ahead still felt uncertain, yet the thrill of the unknown pulled her forward. Ready for a wild ride? Mike grinned, leaning closer. Always, she replied, heart racing. Would she let go of her inhibitions and embrace this wild adventure with him, or let fear steer her in another direction? As the Ferris wheel began its descent, the question lingered, poised to redefine everything. As the Ferris wheel began its slow descent, Sarah couldn't shake the exhilarating rush that came with the height. The festival lights twinkled below, a blanket of joy stretching far and wide. But as they neared the ground, fear wrapped tighter around her heart. Mike noticed her growing tension and tilted his head. You're quiet. What's on your mind? He reached for her hand again, intertwining their fingers, grounding her in the moment. I've just never been this open before, she finally confessed, the words spilling out before she could catch them. Everything feels so different how? His gaze was steady, inviting her in without pressure. It scares me, she admitted, biting her lip. I've always followed the path my family planned for me. But with you, things feel risky? He interjected gently, a soft smile on his face. She blinked, taken aback by his insight. Yeah, kind of. But not in a bad way. Her pulse quickened as his eyes locked onto hers, a shared understanding bridging the gap between their experiences. Before she could unravel her thoughts further, the ride came to a complete stop, and their cart was swung strategically to face the festival. The music, laughter, and cheers enveloped them, creating a cocoon of blissful distraction. Look at that, Mike said, gesturing toward a spectacular display of fireworks lighting up the night sky. Bursts of color exploded against the black canvas, igniting an awe that momentarily lifted her worries away. Oh wow! Sarah whispered, caught up in the magic moment. As they watched in silence, Mike turned slightly to her. You know, Sometimes it's worth taking the leap, even when it's scary. You might find something beautiful. Like this. He nodded at the fireworks, connecting the metaphor to them without needing to say it outright. The moment hung between them, charged and electric. Sarah felt the tightness in her chest ease a fraction as his words began to sink in. She thought about the life she had known, the expectations, and fears that held her back. But Mike's sincerity sparked a glimmer of hope, beckoning her to consider a shift. I've always been scared of failure. Of choosing the wrong path, she finally worked up the courage to share. But maybe it's time I try. Just for once. That essay start, he encouraged, his smile reassuring. You can start by choosing to see where this goes. A wash of warmth enveloped her as he leaned a little closer, the air thick with unspoken possibilities. Let's just enjoy tonight, okay? Just you and me. Yes. She exclaimed, feeling lighter, more alive. No pressure. As they disembarked the Ferris wheel, a burst of laughter echoed from nearby, drawing their attention. A group of children were chasing after a gust of wind, their giggles rising straight into the night. See? Mike said, pointing. They're not worried about anything. They're just living. Sarah felt a spark of joy as she watched the children, the innocence of their play a reminder of what it felt like to let go. She turned back to Mike, excitement coursing through her. What should we do next? He paused for a moment, a glint of mischief in his eyes. How about the haunted house? They say it's terrifying. Terrifying? What, you afraid? She teased, challenging him, but the twinkling sparks of humor danced within her. Mike laughed, feigning a dramatic shiver. I could be persuaded, he said, his tone over the top. As they headed towards the haunted house, Sarah felt something shift inside her. The world was still full of uncertainties, but could she face them, hand in hand with Mike? Who knows, she thought, stepping with renewed determination. This might just be the beginning. But as they approached the entrance, a hesitation crept back into her mind, the familiar burden of doubt whispering its old tune. Would she really embrace the wild ride of this new reality, or would she let fear carve an all too familiar path? The door creaked open in front of them, the darkness beyond beckoning. What awaited them inside would either deepen their bond or unravel everything she feared. With only the flicker of festival lights behind them, Sarah took a breath, steeling herself for the unexpected. Would she plunge into this adventure with Mike or retreat back to safety? The crossroads lay ahead, and the choice was hers to make. As Sarah stepped through the heavy door of the haunted house, a shiver ran down her spine. The smell of damp wood and stale air wrapped around her, a stark contrast to the vibrant festival outside. Shadows lurked in every corner, illuminated only by flickering lights that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. She squeezed Mike's hand tighter. This is it, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the faint sounds of eerie moans and rattling chains that echoed through the corridor. Just remember, he said, his voice playful despite the ominous atmosphere, if anything jumps out, I'll protect you. Or, at least provide a good distraction. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle, her nervousness easing a fraction. Right, lead the way, brave knight. They moved cautiously, instinctively leaning into each other. As they wandered deeper into the haunted maze, scenes of fright filled their path, scary clowns, ghosts swirling in fog, and blood-curdling screams from behind hidden panels. Each element served to heighten her senses, bringing an adrenaline rush she had not anticipated, but it was the unexpected that caught her off guard. With every jump scare, her heart raced, yet it was not just fear vibrating through her. Something felt different this time. Each scream and every flicker of darkness brought her closer to Mike, as if she were finding her footing in a world she had long avoided. Okay, that one was legitimately scary. Mike exclaimed, laughing as they stumbled into a room filled with fake spiders crawling across the walls. Look at us. We're practically pros. Yeah, pros at freaking out. she retorted, a grin spreading across her face as she playfully shoved him. It felt good to be light-hearted. They rounded a corner and suddenly found themselves in a graveyard scene. Fake headstones and dim lighting surrounded them. To her surprise, Mike paused, standing next to a tombstone marked with the words "Here lies fear." He glanced at her, a twinkle in his eye. Sarah felt her breath hitch in her throat. "What do you think that means?" she mused, her emotions swirling. "I think it means we're stronger than we realize," he replied softly. "That fear is just a stopping point, not the end." For a moment, it felt as if the world outside melted away. Just Sarah and Mike, standing in the shadow of self-doubt, ready to confront what lay before them. Her heart swelled. Maybe this was a turning point, a moment where she could plant her feet and take back control. As they stepped away, a loud burst of noise erupted from behind them. A strobe light flashed and a man in a gory costume chased after them, growling as if he'd escaped from a nightmare. Sarah squealed, instinctively darting behind Mike, who turned around to protect her. "Run!" he shouted, laughter mingling with the fright. They raced through the exit, their feet pounding the wooden floor, pulse racing and laughter erupting from both of them like fireworks. Once outside, they stumbled into the cool night air, breathless and exhilarated. Sarah leaned against the railing near a food stall, catching her breath, her heart still racing, not just from the haunted house. "That was insane!" she exclaimed, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I can't believe we did that." Mike beamed at her, the glow of the fairground lights reflecting in his eyes. "You were amazing. Look at you, facing down your fears like a champ." "This feels different," she admitted, her cheeks flushing. "Like I'm really living for once." But even as those words left her mouth, a tiny shadow of worry flickered in her mind. Did this mean she was ready for more than just a fun night out? Was she prepared to explore the depths of this newfound connection? "Want to grab a snack? Maybe a funnel cake?" he offered, breaking her reverie. "Absolutely," she replied, taking a step forward, but the question lingered. Was she brave enough to step beyond these walls and venture into whatever lay ahead for them? As they moved towards the food stalls, a sudden cheer erupted from the crowd nearby. Sarah turned, curiosity piqued. The crowd was gathering around a stage where a contest was about to begin. "Let us check it out." Mike pulled her gently, and the crowd's electric energy wrapped around them both. What unexpected twists awaited them next? As the lights dimmed and the host began to speak, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something truly remarkable. Sarah followed Mike toward the bustling crowd, the excitement palpable in the air. The stage lit up, revealing a colorful backdrop, and the audience buzzed with anticipation. They took a place near the front, surrounded by families and friends, all laughing and cheering. The atmosphere was infectious. "What do you think they're doing?" Sarah wondered, glancing up at Mike, who wore a broad grin. "Maybe a dancing contest?" he replied, his eyes sparkling. "Or something wild." The host, a charismatic figure in a bright blue jacket, stepped forward, his voice booming over the speakers. "Welcome, everyone, to the Scarathon Talent Show. Tonight, we're looking for the bravest contestants to face our haunted challenges." Mike's excitement was infectious. "We should totally enter," he said, winking at her. "Are you kidding?" She laughed, the thought of standing on stage in front of all these people made her stomach flip. "What if we embarrass ourselves?" "Come on. Think of it as facing another fear," he nudged her playfully. His encouragement warmed her heart and boosted her courage. She remembered their earlier conversation about taking back control. "All right, let us do it," Sarah said, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and nerves. "But only if we go together." "Deal." Mike cheered, gripping her hand as they moved to sign up. The thought of being in front of the crowd made her pulse race, not just from fear, but exhilaration too. Once their names were written down, they squeezed back into the crowd, their hearts racing with anticipation. The first act was a little girl, dressed as a witch, performing a hilariously bad magic trick that had everyone in stitches. Laughter echoed around them, washing over Sarah like a good wave, making her feel lighter. "See? It's all in good fun," Mike insisted, nudging her as he watched the stage intently. Before they knew it, their names were called. Sarah felt a jolt of adrenaline flood her system. "This is it," she whispered, unsure whether to step forward or hide. Together, he reminded her, and they took a deep breath before stepping into the limelight. The stage lights were bright, causing her to squint, but beneath them, Mike's reassuring smile anchored her. They were handed goofy props: a oversized rubber chicken and a feather boa. Laughter rippled from the crowd at their ridiculous introduction. "Oh man," Sarah chuckled, trying to shake off her nerves. "Just follow my lead," Mike said, his playful energy contagious as he initiated a silly dance with the props. Sarah felt herself loosening up, laughing alongside him as they began to dance awkwardly. The crowd loved it. Cheers and claps erupted, fueling her courage. Somehow, their fear transformed into pure joy. Sarah found herself moving with abandon, and as their act progressed, she lost the worry of judgment, completely embracing the moment. "See? This is what it's all about," Mike shouted over the laughter, and for the first time, Sarah felt like she was truly living, not just existing. As their performance came to a dramatic finish, the crowd roared with applause, and they bowed, breathless and exhilarated. They stumbled off stage, giggling and exhilarated, hearts racing. "Can you believe we actually did that?" Mike grinned, excitement radiating off him. "Not in my wildest dreams," she replied, her cheeks flushed with happiness. Just then, a voice broke through their bubble. "That was fantastic, you too." An older man approached, a gleam in his eye. "You both really have a knack for entertaining." "Thank you," Sarah said, her heart swelling at the unexpected compliment. "What's next for you two? Want to give it another shot or perhaps take on something even scarier?" he teased, his smile mischievous. As Sarah exchanged glances with Mike, a newfound thrill washed over her. They had just faced down one fear: what could possibly come next? But at that moment, as the crowd still buzzed around them with energy, Sarah couldn't help but ponder, could this night lead to even deeper revelations about themselves and each other? What did Mike really think of her now, as they made their way back into the thrumming heart of the festival? The faint sound of a distant scream echoed again, a reminder that they were far from done facing their fears. The energy of the festival wrapped around Sarah and Mike like a warm blanket. They meandered through the crowd, the echoes of laughter and cheers still ringing in their ears. With each step, Sarah felt lighter, as if every cheer had lifted a weight off her shoulders. "I can't believe we did that," she said again, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "I actually enjoyed it." "See? We make a pretty great team," Mike replied, his chest puffed out with pride. "What's next? There are more challenges we can tackle tonight." She paused, taking in the vibrant scenery, a kaleidoscope of lights and sounds. The thought of entering another contest made her heart race, but it was a familiar thrill, like standing on the precipice of something amazing. "Maybe we could." Suddenly, a loud scream sliced through the sound of the crowd, a high-pitched wail that sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. She glanced around, her grip on Mike's hand tightening. Men and women turned to look toward the source, eyes wide with surprise. "What was that?" she asked, her nerves creeping back in. Mike's brow furrowed, but his voice was steady. "Probably just part of the show. It is a haunted festival, after all." He chuckled, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something felt a bit off. "Right, but it sounded real," she murmured, still scanning the crowd. Before she could say another word, an announcement boomed through the speakers. "Attention, everyone. For the next challenge, we invite contestants to face the haunted maze. This isn't for the faint of heart, so gather your courage." Excitement buzzed through the air again. "A maze?" Mike grinned mischievously. What do you say? One more adventure? Oh. I don't know, Mike, she hesitated, memories of her childhood fears bubbling to the surface. It might be terrifying. We just conquered the stage. We can handle a maze, he said, enthusiasm radiating from him. And who knows, it might be a blast. She considered the idea, letting herself feel the potential fun. But there was an undercurrent of apprehension. Would she really be able to go through something potentially frightening? Let's check it out first, Sarah finally agreed, biting her lip. The anticipation made her heart race, but it wasn't just fear, there was an undeniable thrill in stepping into the unknown. They pushed their way through the crowd towards the entrance of the maze, where the darkness loomed enticingly, lit by flickering lanterns. The air felt thick with tension, and she caught a glimpse of others coming out with nervous giggles and wide eyes. Seems like a lot of people are braver than I thought, Mike noted, squeezing her hand tighter. As they stepped closer, the sound of muffled screams and distant howls echoed from within, prompting Sarah's heart to race. Are you sure about this? She glanced up at Mike, who looked so sure of himself. Together, remember? He said, his voice soothing, yet excited. We'll stick together and have each other's backs. With a deep breath and a nod, they entered the maze hand in hand. The walls were covered in eerie decorations, and the path spiraled into darkness. Sarah felt the chill of fear creep in, but there was something captivating about the thrill. As shadows played tricks on her mind, glimpses of creatures leaping out caused her to jump, hiding closer to Mike. He laughed, and his laughter wrapped around her like a shield, bolstering her courage. Just keep moving, he encouraged as they navigated twists and turns. We got this. But in the very next moment, they stumbled upon a corner where the walls seemed to close in. A figure in a ghostly costume suddenly leapt out, making Sarah yelp and grip Mike's arm in pure panic, her heart pounding furiously. Okay, this is a little much. She gasped, unable to suppress the thrill mixed with fear, but as they retreated, Mike turned playfully, a flicker of mischief in his eyes. Are you scared of the ghost, or just scared of what's around the next corner? Sarah's breath was fast, and she realized at that moment, this was no longer just a maze. It felt like a reflection of her life. Each turn represented a fear she had yet to confront. Maybe I'm scared of both, she admitted softly, her heart racing with revelation. But for once, I want to face them. Just as she summoned the courage to move forward, a ghoulish voice echoed from the depths of the maze, "Who dares enter my domain?" The walls seemed to tremble, the atmosphere intensifying, and Sarah froze, wondering if she was brave enough to accept whatever waited in the shadows. Could they really handle what lay ahead? The chill in the air momentarily froze Sarah's thoughts, her breath caught in her throat. Mike sensed her hesitation, and the light in his eyes dimmed just a fraction. Hey, he said gently, remember the maze is just a fancy way of testing us. We can do this together. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded, though the ghoulish voice still hung heavily in her ears. They pressed forward, deeper into the maze. The walls, now echoing with unseen whispers, closed in around them. Flickering lanterns cast long shadows, and each twist felt like it was pulling them into a different world, one filled with uncertainty and a hint of danger. As they turned a corner, the path opened up to a small clearing, where a group of other festival-goers stood, faces painted with a mixture of terror and thrill. Did you hear that? One girl shouted, her voice taut with excitement. What if it's real? Sarah looked at Mike, her fear mingling with intrigue. What if we actually see something scary? Then we laugh about it later, he replied confidently, but she noticed the tightness around his eyes. Maybe he was just as anxious as she was. They moved deeper, and Sarah's heart raced. What awaited them in the shadows was more than just costumed actors. It felt like the embodiment of her fears, those she hadn't faced for years. The loneliness, the self-doubt that whispered she wouldn't measure up. Then they rounded another corner, and suddenly the sight took her breath away. A figure dressed as a witch stood in front of them, her cackle echoing in the confined space. For a split second, Sarah felt the urge to run. But then she remembered Mike's steady hand in hers. She squeezed it tighter. "Should we turn back?" she whispered, glancing up at Mike. "Not a chance," he grinned, though the offering of courage in his eyes was unwavering. "We're here to conquer, remember?" "Okay, let us do this," Sarah said, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind but resolute. As they approached the witch, she motioned them closer. "You've got courage, kids," she said, her voice dripping with playful menace. "But tell me, what do you seek in this labyrinth of fears?" "Fun," Mike shouted, almost too loud, as the laughter bubbled from his lips. Sarah felt it too, a lightness breaking through the fog of fear. "Fun is good," the witch replied with a knowing grin. "And how about a little truth? What is it you're afraid of?" That question sunk deep into Sarah's chest. A truth. What was she truly afraid of? As she opened her mouth to reply, another scream pierced the air. A person ran past them, shouting, "Run! It's after me!" Startled, Sarah felt a surge of adrenaline push her forward. She was not going to be the one who shrank back. "Let us go, Mike!" she shouted before taking off, weaving past the witch and plunging further into the maze, pulling Mike along behind her. They sprinted through a series of twists and turns, laughter mixed with gasps, but every ounce of fear transformed into exhilaration. It felt freeing, powerful. This was more than just a haunted maze, it was a moment of liberation, wrapping her in a swirl of spices from the festival food scent and the electric thrill of the chase. Just when they thought they would catch their breath, they turned a corner and stilled. Before them, the path forked into two identical routes, each dark and ominous. Sarah's mind raced. Which way? "Let us split up," Mike suggested, a bright spark in his eyes. "No. We shouldn't," Sarah protested, panic bubbling to the surface. But he was already grinning, an irresistible urge dancing in his eyes, as if this were a dare. "We'll meet in the middle. Trust me." Heart pounding, she faced the fork, torn between following him and staying together. As she hesitated, she felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. This was a chance to confront the unknown, the very fabric of her fears. Just as Mike took a step towards the left path, a loud crash came from within the shadows, shaking the maze once again. Fear and excitement hummed through her veins like wildfire. "Mike, wait!" Would she let him take this leap alone? Would she be brave enough to follow him down the path of uncertainty, or would she cling to her fears and miss out on a chance to push past them? The air buzzed with anticipation. Was she ready to embrace the thrill of the unknown? The split in the path loomed larger in Sarah's mind, like a fork in her life that she never anticipated. The silence in the maze felt deafening, punctuated only by the sound of her quickening heartbeat. Mike had always been the more adventurous one, the one who jumped into things head first. And here he was, waiting for her to decide. "Come on, Sarah. Don't think. Just trust your gut," he called over his shoulder, his voice blending with the distant echoes of laughter and screams that filled the air. "What if I can't find him again?" The thought prodded at her anxiety. But another part of her echoed the thrill of the chase, the intoxicating mix of fear and excitement. With a few deep breaths, she pushed down her worries. Maybe this was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to face her fears head-on, to discover what lay within her untraveled heart. Before she could overthink it, she glanced back to Mike, gave him a determined nod, and sprinted down the right path. The walls closed in, shadows dancing along her periphery. The air was thick with tension and a sweet hint of caramel from the nearby food stands. Each step felt heavy, yet freeing, as if she were shedding layers of hesitation. As she turned another corner, the maze opened into a dimly lit room filled with mirrors, each one reflecting parts of herself she didn't recognize. Some showed the confident girl she longed to be, while others revealed doubt and fears creeping up on her like ghosts. The flickering lanterns made her anxious reflections come alive, twisting and bending around her. Mike! She shouted, her voice echoing in the confined space. Panic gripped her as silence swallowed her words. She stepped towards the nearest mirror, her own eyes staring back, wide and uncertain. Just then, a soft laughter broke through the chaos, followed by a familiar voice. "I'm here, Sarah." Relief flooded through her as she turned to see Mike emerging from a side passage, his hair slightly tousled but a wide grin on his face. He looked so carefree, so alive. "The mirrors are trippy, huh?" "Trippy is one word for it," she said, feeling her mood lift. They both stood in front of a mirror together, their reflections merging, capturing an energy between them that was blossoming like the lights of the festival outside. Suddenly, she noticed something in his expression, a flicker of vulnerability hidden behind his boyish charm. "What do you see?" she asked softly, curious to peel back the layers of this bold young man. He paused, gaze steadying. "I see someone who needs to let go. I mean, look at us running through a haunted maze." He chuckled lightly, but there was something deeper beneath the laughter. "What do you see?" Her heart raced. "I see someone scared of failing. Scared of not being good enough." The words tumbled out, raw and real. It felt liberating to say them aloud. In that moment, the laughter faded and silence engulfed them. Instead of fear, she found strength, a kindred spirit who understood those hushed whispers of doubt that haunted them both. "Let us not look back. Let us just enjoy this moment together." Mike stepped closer, eyes brightening with shared determination. "That sounds perfect," Sarah replied, surprised by how much she meant it. Just then, the sound of a loud pop echoed, breaking the shared intimacy of the moment. The lights flickered, and a chill ran up her spine. It felt like the maze had responded to their claim of courage, reacting with newfound intensity. "What was that?" Mike asked, shifting closer. "I don't know." Sarah looked towards the darkness behind them, a mixture of dread and curiosity igniting within her. With her heart pounding and her courage ignited, Sarah knew they couldn't stop now. They had come too far, faced too much to turn back. "Let us keep going," she said, determination flowing through her voice, but as they took their first step forward, the shadows shifted ominously. What lay ahead seemed more dangerous than before, a test of their newfound bravery, perhaps even a revelation lurking in the darkness. "Sarah," Mike began, but the words hung precariously in the air. The unknown stretched before them like a vibrant canvas, ready to be explored. Would they find answers or unveil deeper fears? Every nerve in her body sparked with anticipation as they ventured further into the uncharted depths of the maze. In the growing shadows, was this only a game, or was it the beginning of something life-changing? Sarah took a breath, holding Mike's gaze. Together. No matter what. And with that promise, they stepped further into the void, the atmosphere thick with an imminent confrontation to come. Secrets stirred in the dark around them. What would they find before the thrill of the night ended? The darkness around them felt alive, as if the very walls of the maze were holding their breath, waiting to see what came next. Sarah's hand brushed against Mike's as they moved forward, an unspoken connection growing stronger. He nodded, and together they stepped into the unknown. A sudden flash erupted from the shadows, illuminating a path lined with eerie silhouettes that seemed to whisper secrets. The flickering light cast distorted figures across the walls, each more ghostly than the last. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The maze had transformed into something ethereal, and despite the fear tightening around her heart, there was an undeniable thrill wrapping around her spirit. "Stay close," Mike whispered, and she could feel the steadiness in his voice, anchoring her as they ventured deeper. Curiosity pulled them further along the path. They passed through a series of arches that felt like doorways into forgotten realms. Each one was adorned with faded sketches, visions of laughter, adventure, and choices that had long since been made. She could almost hear the echoes of the past hovering in the air. "Do you think the maze is trying to teach us something?" Sarah asked, peering at a particularly haunting image of a girl standing alone at a crossroad, uncertainty etched across her features. It mirrored her own doubt. Maybe, Mike replied thoughtfully, catching her eye. Or maybe we're just supposed to experience it, you know? Not overthink every detail. Easy for you to say, she murmured, but she felt a smile creeping onto her lips. As they rounded a corner, an unexpected sound broke through laughter that cut through the silence, warm and inviting. It startled Sarah, reminding her of the festival just outside this maze. It was a sharp contrast to their surroundings, rippling with life. That's not just us, is it? Mike shook his head, a mix of confusion and intrigue in his expression. I don't think so. Let's check it out. His eyes sparkled with adventure, urging her to follow him. They stepped into yet another room, this one vibrant and filled with swirling colors. The laughter was louder now, ringing in their ears, drawing them closer to a group of people at the center. But as they got nearer, the atmosphere shifted, and the laughter morphed into something unsettling. The faces of the revelers became blurred, distorted, as if they were being altered by the flickering lights. What is this? Sarah said, heart racing. The playful sounds had turned into an eerie symphony of chaos. A voice drifted through the air, sweet yet sarcastic. Welcome to our little gathering. Are you brave enough to join? As the words resonated, the crowd turned their fragmented faces toward Sarah and Mike, uncertainty and challenge shimmering in the air. There was a feeling of both thrill and danger, as if they were at the edge of an abyss, one that beckoned them closer, longing to reveal deeper layers of themselves. Should we? Mike asked, swallowing hard. Sarah's heart raced, caught between the pull of adventure and the weight of fear pressing against her chest. This moment felt all too real. I don't know, it feels like a trap, she whispered, glancing between the laughter and the shadows, but in that instant, she remembered the strength in their earlier words, the promise to face whatever lay ahead together. With a resolute nod, she took a step into the brightness spilling from the gathering. Let's see what's really going on, she declared, voice steady. As they crossed into the chaos, a wave of energy surged through her, igniting something deep within. For better or worse, they were willingly diving into the heart of this experience where truth mingled with fear and possibility danced on the edge of reality. Yet, just as they stepped into the throng, a sudden crack echoed through the room, plunging them into darkness. The laughter died away, replaced by a haunting stillness that sent chills racing down her spine. Sarah. Mike's voice broke through the dark, filled with concern. A new fear gripped her, but at the same time, a familiar thrill broke the surface. Something was about to unfold. The maze had revealed yet another layer of its twisting complexity. Stay with me, she called back, clenching her fists as she turned toward the sounds of chaos that danced just out of reach. What awaited them now? Would they uncover the truth behind the laughter, or would they be swallowed whole by the shadows? As the darkness loomed, Sarah felt an urgency coursing through her veins. Together she breathed, getting ready for whatever lay ahead. The deep darkness enveloped them, creating an atmosphere charged with uncertainty and a pinch of excitement. Sarah felt Mike's warm presence beside her, grounding her even as fear and anticipation wrestled for dominance. She could hear the distant echo of laughter slowly fading, replaced by hushed whispers, melding into an eerie chorus. Stay close, Mike whispered, instinctively wrapping his fingers tightly around hers. The firm grip shot a surge of comfort through her, reminding her she wasn't alone. With every step, the maze felt alive, as if it responded to their shared fears and desires. Shadows danced like phantoms on both sides, and as they moved deeper into the unknown, the air thickened with tension. Maybe we're supposed to face something different now, Sarah murmured, the uncertainty of her own voice hanging heavy in the silence. Mike nodded. Yeah, maybe it's not just about ghosts and ghouls. It's about understanding what we're really afraid of. His voice was steady, cutting through the veil of shadows. Suddenly, from the darkness ahead, a figure emerged. Its outline shifted like smoke, illuminating for a moment in a flicker of light. Sarah's heart raced. Who are you? She called out, fear and determination wrapping around her words. The figure stepped into the light fully, revealing a costumed actor, a playful smile painted across their face. "Welcome, brave souls. You've made it this far by facing your fears together, but how about a new challenge? A riddle that will test your bond?" The figure said, grinning slightly. "Okay." Mike looked at Sarah. "What do you think?" "I think we can handle it," she said, feeling a bubbling excitement beneath her fear. "Go on," she urged, feeling braver than a moment ago. "All right then," the actor declared, voice grand and theatrical. "Listen closely, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I can come alive with a thought. What am I?" Sarah's brow furrowed as she pondered the riddle. "Something that doesn't have form. Could it be an idea?" Mike's eyes lit up. "Yes. Or a memory." The figure nodded in approval. "That's right. You both are on the right path. But here's the twist, it's about what you're willing to create together." The words sank in, a spark igniting between them. "We can mold our fears," Mike said, his voice brightening. "Yes." Sarah agreed, feeling a wave of understanding wash over them. This was more than a test, it was an opportunity. The atmosphere shifted once again, the path ahead illuminated with a warm golden glow. The shadows retreated, revealing a wide, open area filled with vibrant colors and laughter that echoed like sweet music. "Look!" Mike pointed. "It's the festival. Guys! You did it!" The actor clapped, vanishing into the bright terrain. "You've conquered the maze and your fears." As they stepped into the clearing, the familiar sights and sounds flooded back, the festival alive and vibrant once more. The flickering lights danced like fireflies, and nearby, families celebrated, friends shared laughter, and children raced, their joy contagious. "Wow," Sarah whispered, feeling a bubbling sense of freedom. "I can't believe we pushed through that." Mike's grin was wide, reflecting her own excitement. "And what do you want to do now?" She paused, taking it all in, the people, the laughter, the memories yet to be made. "I want to embrace every moment," she said with conviction. "I want to feel alive." "Then let's make this night unforgettable," Mike replied, squeezing her hand. Together. As the fireworks exploded above them, painting the sky with brilliant colors, Sarah and Mike stood hand in hand, full of hope and adventure. They had faced the fears that had held them captive and emerged together, transformed. "We'll carve our pumpkin, tackle every challenge that comes our way, and embrace life like we just did in there," Sarah promised, the weight of family expectations beginning to dissolve. "Absolutely," Mike said, his laughter ringing through the crisp night air. "This moment, the laughter, the thrill, the company is where we'll find our strength." They made their way back toward the center of the festival, hearts light and eyes sparkling with love and newfound courage, and as the night unfolded, they danced, they laughed, they celebrated life as if they'd never been afraid. They were no longer just individuals tangled in expectations, they were a team, ready to face whatever might come next. Sarah realized, with each moment spent by Mike's side, she could redefine her reality, shatter her fears and embrace joy. This was only the beginning of their journey, not just through the haunted maze, but through life, and in that moment, as the last firework faded into the starlit sky, Sarah felt infinite possibilities swirling around her, buoyed by the love and connection they had built together. It was a promise made beneath a shower of stars, the promise to embrace the thrill of the ride. So here's your moment. This is the time to grab hold of your own journey and embrace your fears. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and get this message to everyone who needs a push. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, it means so much to us, and please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love and support this channel. Only true fans understand the importance of lifting each other up.